Hello everyone, this is the final Bosman, sort of. Today's episode is me sitting on a couch sharing E3 memories. Let's get started. Welcome to the show. I am Kyle Bosman, and yes, this is not a regular episode of the final Bosman. It is let's just call it a casual episode, E3 special. Basically what happened is every time there's a 3-day weekend, this time Memorial Day weekend, I usually end up writing like a squished show, like a rushed show. And those tend to be the most reviled Final Bosman episodes. Nobody likes those. So what we did instead is we shot this one pretty early. And so I'm not talking about news or anything, I'm talking about memories. And so why share E3 memories? It's because I talk about E3 a lot on the show, like all year long basically. And most of the time I talk about E3 is just about press conferences. But E3 is more than press conferences, it's a show. It's at the LA Convention Center and it is expensive. And I forget, sometimes I forget how privileged I am to be able to go to E3. And I forget that I spent a childhood dreaming of going to E3. And I forget that you might not be able to come to E3. So today I want to share what I can of what it's like to go to E3 with you. And just talk about E3, which is a blast. It all starts in 2009. I don't think I've ever explained this on the show before, but my first real job in California was being a QA tester at Activision. You would go to work at 9 in the morning and you would just play this chunk of the game that your boss told you to play, and you look for 3 or 4 bugs a day. You have to find mistakes. And I worked on a lot of hero games, a lot of games that ended with the word hero. That was a crazy job. I did that for a long time. Not a very thankful job, I think I was in the credits of one of the games I worked on. I'm in DJ Heroes credits, so you can check that out. But generally it's just Kyle Bosman, you're moving on to this game. It's like, okay, fine. You're just another little number. I guess it was one day, it was probably the break room. A couple of the other guys were talking about E3, and at that moment it dawned on me. It was like, whoa, I live in Los Angeles now and I am part of the industry. I can go to E3. And that, oh my gosh, that realization was so exciting. So yeah, I did it. I looked it up on how to get in. I filled out my paperwork. I think you had to get your boss to approve something. I took Thursday off work and I went to E3. And that's, oh man, it was one of the few times in my life where my expectations of this big thing were met. E3 was exactly as huge and great as I wanted it to be. Just noise hitting you once you walk in there, and you're like a blue light on your badge. You feel so special because you're like, this is my badge, blue lighted away. And you walk in and just noise and screens and big things that are only designed to get your attention. That's all they exist for. Look at us, please. Oh man, E3, it was such a cool day. And the first thing I did when I got home from E3 was I wrote down every single game I played that day and then a little note beside it. Ninja Turtles Smash, PU. So this was a fun thing to look back on because I'd forgotten this one memory. I saw Lego Rock Band and my note next to it, and I totally forgot about this, but that was such a fun moment for me. Understand, 2009, I'm a pretty shy guy, even shyer than I am today in 2014. So I was in line for Lego Rock Band, which was just announced, and they had, I think, Legoized versions of the instruments. And there were 3 songs in the Lego Rock Band demo. It was, I think, The Final Countdown, that one that goes tick, tick, boom, that one, and some other song. But easily the most popular one was The Final Countdown. So as you wait in line to go take your turn, you're listening to The Final Countdown over and over and over, and I'm like, oh man, I want to do at least that tick, tick, boom song. So it was finally me. And I was up with these German guys, these German developers who were so excited to be at E3. They were having such a good time just being there. It kind of, you absorb that just being next to a person like that. The MC who was hosting Lego Rock Band was he was like, okay, there are 3 songs you can select. Go ahead and pick any of these 3 songs you want. And one of the German guys goes, we want to play The Final Countdown. And just like there was no other option, you know, like we waited in line to play the Final Countdown, even though we had heard it 1,000 times, and we played it, and it was so fun to play the Final Countdown with these guys who were loving the Final Countdown. And that was it was fun to go and play demos. So at the end of the day, there was like 20 minutes left. I finally met up with my friend Noah, who I went there with. And Noah was like, let's go see Nintendo. It's like at 20 minutes left, do you have time for one more demo? And I already been to Nintendo, but it's like whatever. So we went there, we went to the Nintendo booth, and at the back of the booth where they had new Super Mario Bros. Wii set up, Charles Martinet was there playing the game. And one of the Nintendo employees comes up to us and says, do you know who that is? Yeah, come on, we know who that is. Would you like to play with Mr. Martinet? And we're like, yes, can we? And she's like, yeah, come on. Charles Martinet, I should explain to those of you who aren't as cocky as I was just then, is the voice actor for Mario. So we picked up controllers and we played New Super Mario Bros. Wii with Charles Martinet. And we were playing this game, and he was, he had to be Mario. It's like, wasn't even like a thing where like you go ahead and pick any character. It's like, Mr. Martinet will be Mario. And the whole time, he's doing the Mario noises as he's playing Mario. So we're there, and he's like, woohoo, yeah! And at first, that's hilarious. That's the funniest thing. But then, eventually, kind of annoying, he's like, hey, I'm so good, here I am. Oh, I died. Ooh, a Goomba. All right, man, this is uncomfortable now. And it got kind of like super uncomfortable, to be honest. But at the same time, still just something I'll never forget. What a fun day. That was the best possible first day of E3 you could have. You know, just seeing everything and getting to do things, and oh man, that ruled. To be honest, the year after that, I still worked at Activision, you know, I just E3 felt like another E3, and the year after that, I was officially a PA at GTTV. Those years, they kind of blend together to me. I like to walk around, and any game that has a short line sometimes has a developer next to it, which is a really funny thing. And those developers are eager to talk to you. You can go up to, I think it was like, I walked up to Epic Mickey, and I was like, hey, well, like, what's this all about? And that, you know, had just been announced. And it turned out that the guy showing it off was a developer on the team and was so excited that anyone would like talk to him about the actual game itself. You know, I wasn't like, how does the controls work? And it turned out like, what are you doing with this game? And he was just like, thank you for asking questions. Let me tell you, people who bring their games to E3 are excited to talk about their games. And so that became like the most rewarding thing about E3 for me, was like going to these short lines and like talking to the people behind the games who were excited to even speak to a human about this game they've been working on for probably over a year. You know, this is their lives, and finally having an opportunity to talk to a human being about it was something for them and something for me too, you know? So it's cool to see and meet a creator. But it always felt off, it always felt incomplete, because much of E3 is blocked away, is like behind closed doors, like all the best demos you don't get to play unless you like have an appointment with the press. It felt like even though I was at this exclusive event, I was still being excluded. And so E3 for a while felt empty. You know, I didn't feel like I was getting the full experience, and it didn't really, I didn't have that same feeling I had in 2009, that first year that I got to go and see everything. So the year after that, in 2012, I was more ingrained with the GTTV team at that point, and my boss, Jeremy, said, hey, do you want to join my party for E3? And yes, I did. I absolutely did. And so I got to see games behind closed doors. I got to see the BioShock Infinite demo that everyone was saying was amazing. I got to see Brothers in Arms, Furious 4, this game that never came out. I was like, oh, this is cool. This game's got a vibe. And it never came out. And so that was weird. It was weird to like finally get that access, to get those bracelets and be pushed around to meetings. But at the same time, last year, I didn't do that. I preferred to be on the floor. And basically the way I feel about it is that I had realer, more human conversations with actual people when my name tag said Activision than when it said game trailers. You know, when I was just a little QA tester, a little shy weirdo, people were more open to talk about their games with me. When it's press, it's like an artificial kindness, and at the same time a certain guardedness where like it's like if you're a developer or a PR person, any wrong thing you say can turn into this horrible headline that gets thousands of mean comments. I'm sure we're not fun to talk to when the pressure is that high. But if you're just, hi, I'm Kyle Bosman, I do QA to Activision, people are eager to speak to you. You know, they're not afraid of you. And that was honestly, it's more fun to be that person. There's more fun on the floor of E3 than there is behind those closed doors. That's basically what I wanted to say today is, hey, if you ever get the chance in your lifetime to go to E3, take it. It's way worth it. It is so fun. And if you are on that floor and not behind the closed doors, don't feel left out because you're where the real E3 is, on the floor, and I feel like that is the core of it. And you know, that's the episode for this week. I promised it would be casual. It certainly was. I will be back here next Wednesday with a non-casual episode. We'll get serious. We'll get down to the nitty-gritty of what's going on in the world of games. But for this week, I just want to talk about E3, and that was fun for me. If you're on Twitter, you can find me at Kyle Bosman. And again, yeah, this was a Memorial Day episode. So if you're wondering, like, if some huge news happened, and you're like, why didn't he talk about this huge news? This might be a good time to plug GT Time, which I've never done on the show. GT Time is our podcast we have now, and we talk about the biggest, you know, what's going on in the world of games. So if a big thing happened, we'll talk about it on GT Time. It comes on every Friday morning on GameTrailers.com and iTunes, and I don't know if anything else, but check that out if you're missing some news. And I will be back here next Wednesday, not casual. Next Wednesday is going to be serious business because that is my last Final Bossman before E3 begins. And when E3 begins, it's going to begin. It's going to be, oh man. No, I got to stay casual though because it's a casual episode. I'll be back here next Wednesday. I hope to see you then. Thanks for watching.
We have to shoot mandatory update, but I just found out that we have to make a promo too.
Uh-oh, you know what that means. Super corporate montage of archived clips with Brandon Jones doing canned VO.
Mandatory Update is all the video game news you can shake a Wiimote at. Come along for the ride as Ian Hink and Elise Willems mock, poke fun at, and lampoon the biggest stories in gaming.
Release the balloons!
Watch Mandatory Update every Saturday on GameTrailers.com. Get your gaming news from the source you can trust. Or you can get it from us.
Hey everyone, it's bonus bit time, so it's ultra casual back here. It's bonus bit time. I wanted to, for this bonus bit, talk about one part I loved about last year's E3 that I didn't really fit with the conversation because it's not indicative of what a normal E3 is like. It's when I shot Final Bossman at E3, and this was when I had the idea to just go around E3 with the saddest face possible. And you know how bad I am at keeping a straight face. This was the hardest thing, and it was honestly the most fun I've ever had at E3. Just like, there was the guy who made Spin the Bottle for Wii U. I walked up to him and I said, hey, can we shoot for a Final Bossman? Can we shoot a thing? And he's like, yes, please. And I said, all right, I'm going to be miserable. This is one of the few people I warned. I said, I'm going to look really miserable for this, so don't be alarmed. And I don't think I communicated that well because we played this mini game where you had to hug and so you were already just face to face with a stranger and you had to jump at the same time. And I was doing my miserable face, and the poor guy, I don't think I communicated what I was doing well because he was like, come on. Come on. Come on. Look at me in the eyes. Why isn't this guy giving me anything back? And it's just well, I'm doing a dumb bit. The most fun of that whole day was at the Microsoft floor. They had this display up for the Kinect and all the new things that the Kinect would be capable of. And it was basically a stage of a living room, a really nice living room. And they were getting set up, and they were basically, I think they were doing it every half hour or something, and we had just happened to be walking by. And some guy was like, all right, is anybody interested in doing a demo of the Kinect for the Xbox One? And I'm there with a camera in my suit, and I'm like, wait, can I? Can I do that? He's like, yeah, absolutely, come on up.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start a demonstration of the new Kinect for Xbox One. My name's Scott. I'm here with my colleague Michelle and our volunteer from the audience. Thank you very much.
I'm doing my whole sad face, miserable bit the entire demo. And this poor lady who's employed by Microsoft to demo the Kinect and show how fun it is so shaken by what I was doing that she looks as grumpy as I do. I wish we could play the whole thing. And there's a point where it's just like, Kinect can can sense your heartbeat. And it's just like, I'm trolling the Kinect. It's like, it can't track my arms, man. It can't tell when my mouth is open and closed. And then at the end, it's like, all right, and now everybody dance. And I'm still making the saddest face. That was the most possible fun. And I'm after that whole thing went up, and I went over to the lady's hands and I shook her hand and I said I'm sorry for being a little a-hole. And then I walked off, and one of my old bosses from Activision, a guy named Derek, came up and was like, "Hey man, are you working for IGN now?" And I said, "Oh no, I work for GameJailers.com. They gave me a show." And then I looked at his name tag and it said Alan something, and I said, Your name's not Alan. And he's like, "Okay man, gotta go." 'Cause if we get